Welcome to Mountain Cooking with Missy. Today I'm going to show you how to make this delicious Kentucky butter cake. Y'all, it is so good. Hey mountain friends, y'all like some pound cake? I know I do. And I'm stepping it up a little bit and I'm making a Kentucky butter cake. And I've had these before and they're just delicious, y'all. And I'm excited that I have, when White Lily introduced these box cake mixes that they had, I was excited. I tried the pound cake and it is so good. And it is easy, a lot easier than making one from scratch. And it is delicious. So I'm excited that I can actually make this Kentucky butter cake with the White Lily pound cake mixes. Now I'm going to be using two, so because I'm going to be baking this in a bundt pan, and I got my oven preheated to 350 degrees, and so all I'm doing on the back is doubling what it says. So each box calls for 3/4 cup of water, 1 egg, and 10 tablespoons of melted butter. So I'm just doubling that because I'm using 2 packs. And I've already got 1 package already here in my mixing bowl. And all I'm gonna do is just put all the ingredients in. So I'm doing 2.5 sticks of melted butter, which is which is equal to 20 tablespoons of melted butter. So this is 2.5 sticks of melted unsalted butter, and 1.5 cups of water. And I'm going to do, it calls for, it would be 2 eggs, but I've got some farm fresh eggs here and they're kindly on the small side. So I'm going to use 3. So I'm just using 3. But if you have large eggs, 2 large eggs should be plenty. But these are kindly little bitty-ins, and I'm just going to use 3. And always use room temperature eggs when you're baking, y'all. And I usually I like to crack my eggs separate, a little bit separately. That way I don't get any of the shells in. I've been cooking for years, y'all, and I'm not a pro egg cracker. If there's such thing, I don't know, but I'm not a pro egg cracker. And sometimes I get a little bit of the shell in there. So what I do, I just mix mine by hand. I'm not using a hand mixer. I'm not using my stand mixer. I'm just going to use a whisk. And I'm just going to gently mix this until it's mixed. And it won't take long. What I love about these cake mixes is they're convenient. If you've ever made a pound cake from scratch, y'all, they're delicious. They're one of my favorite cakes. Besides the chocolate cake, pound cake's one of my favorite. And I love a cake with frosting, but pound cake is one of those cakes that to me doesn't need a frosting or anything like that. But this one will have a glaze. But it is one of my favorite cakes. So I'm just going to get it all stirred together, and it doesn't take long, and until it's smooth, and you don't over mix it. And just like that, look at how that all came together, and it came together really good. Y'all, this smells so good. And it's all mixed. I could just take my finger in there and just lick it just lick it like it is. It's so good. It smells delicious. Now I am using the vanilla. I am using the White Lily vanilla pound cake mix. By the way, because they have a lemon one too, which is delicious, but I'm using the vanilla. So I'm just going to spray my bundt pan. Y'all, this old bundt pan is old. My mom found this for me at a Goodwill somewhere a long time ago. And y'all, it's old, but it still works. like a lot of us. And I like to use Baker's Joy because it's already got some flour in it. And that's what I like about it, instead of having a grease and flour. And I hate doing that. I just use this, and make sure if you're using a bump pan that you get the middle part of your pan really good. All right, there we go. And this is going to bake about an hour. You're going to keep an eye on it until the until a toothpick comes out clean. You don't want to overbake it though, okay? Just pour it right in. I try to do mine evenly, like this right here. Now the glaze for this, y'all, is going to be good. It's a butter glaze. And since it's a Kentucky butter cake, instead of vanilla, I want to use some bourbon in my glaze. And I want to make that for you all here in just a little bit. Let you see it. Alrighty. And with any cake, you want to settle it down. And I just tap it to get the bubbles out and to make sure that it's going to be, that it bakes even, okay? All right, so this is going in the oven and it's already preheated to 350. This is going to bake right at an hour. I'll keep an eye on it. I don't want to overbake it. And so when you come back, we're going to make our glaze. And the glaze, by the way, is going to go on this cake right when we get it out of the oven. Before we turn it out, we're not going to do that. Right when it comes out of the oven, I want to mention this. We're going to poke some holes in it, and we're going to pour the glaze right on top, just like this. And we're going to let it cool completely in this pan, and then when we flip it out, it's going to be good. So that's how this one goes. So we'll come right back. All right, y'all, look at that beautiful pound cake. I let mine bake for about 50 minutes. It's perfect. Already pulled away from the sides, and I can tell it is done. Now it's time for the glaze. All right, y'all, it's time for the glaze. I've got 5 tablespoons of butter in my saucepan. It's on about a medium high heat, and we're going to melt that, and we're going to do 3/4 cup of sugar, and we're going to do 2 tablespoons of water, and I'm doing 2 teaspoons of bourbon whiskey. Since it's a Kentucky butter cake, I'm using bourbon. Now, you can use vanilla in its place if you don't want to use bourbon. But since it's a Kentucky cake, I like to use bourbon. We don't drink alcohol, but we love to cook with bourbon. And when you're cooking like a glaze like this, the alcohol is going to evaporate anyway, and you just have that flavor. But you can most certainly do vanilla extract if you want. So all you're going to do with this glaze, and that bourbon just gives it a good flavor. And like I said, since it's a Kentucky butter cake, it's fitting to use some Kentucky bourbon in it. And I think bourbon is really good for baking. I think it complements a lot of food, especially when you're baking. I think it just makes them taste better. All right, so all you're going to do is you want to really bring this to just almost to a boil. You don't boil it because it will turn to taffy. All you're doing is just going to cook it and get the sugar to dissolve. And that's only going to take about a minute. And as soon as that is done, we're going to pour it over our cake. Now I'm going to poke some holes in this cake. I'm going to use a skewer and poke some holes on it, in it, and we're going to pour that glaze right on it and let it cool. And when it comes out, we'll flip it out, and then we'll put some powdered sugar on it. All right, my taste tester, as usual.
I'm the lucky one, guys.
Yeah, he gets to buy this.
Check that out.
Kentucky butter cake.
Smells good. Thank you, Lord, for this food.
What do you think, Daddy? Good.
It is good.
10 out of 10.
11 out of 10.
Bussin'.
One more
Bussin'.
bite. I better quit.
One more bite. Not dry. That's good.
Perfect.
Y'all look
Moist.
at that.
It's
Yeah.
delicious.
That is not a dry cake out. Y'all look at that. So good.
Bussin', is that the word?
Bussin'.
I assume that means
All right.
delicious, great, awesome.
Yeah. Daddy approves.
I approve 100%.
All right. Thank y'all for watching Mountain Cooking with Missy. We're nothing fancy.
Oh, just good eating.
Just good eating.